Before viewing this lecture, it's a good idea that you have the ratios, the trigonometric ratios memorized, okay? If you don't know those off the tip of your tongue, you might want to go back and view the previous lectures, okay? Let's go ahead and review the unit circle. Remember, the unit circle is a circle centered at the origin and has a radius of 1, okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to try to use the unit circle to help us evaluate some trigonometric ratios. So let's go ahead and plot a point right here. There's a point on the unit circle. Now notice, if I draw this imaginary line here, okay, I know that that radius is 1, okay? And what I've really done here, if I drop it perpendicular, is I've created a little right triangle. And I can think of this as an angle of theta, and it's definitely an acute angle, okay? So, if this x-coordinate, we'll call it x, okay? This y-coordinate, we'll call that y. So this is the point x, y. I'm just making a generic point on the unit circle. The x-coordinate is x, the y-coordinate is y, and this hypotenuse is 1 because we're on the unit circle. Now notice, we can come up with some trigonometric ratios. For example, what's the sine of that angle? Well, remember the sine is the opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 1. The cosine of that angle is the adjacent over hypotenuse. The tangent is opposite over adjacent, etc. So if I knew a point on the unit circle and I knew that angle, I could easily come up with the trigonometric ratios. So why don't we write this down? Given an angle, theta, on the unit circle, then the following 6 trigonometric ratios are as follows. Sine is just opposite over hypotenuse. Remember the hypotenuse is 1. So y over 1 is just y. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 1, which is just x. Tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, so y over x, etc. So if we know these, then cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, which is 1 over y. Reciprocal of cosine is secant, which is 1 over x. And reciprocal of cotangent is x over y. All right, let's look at an example. All right, so we want to try to use the unit circle to help us evaluate the following. So let's say we're given the angle theta is pi thirds. We want to find the corresponding point on the unit circle. We've done that in previous lectures. You might want to go back and review how to do that. So let's find the corresponding point on the unit circle, and then we'll figure out the 6 trigonometric ratios. So let's go ahead and graph an angle of pi thirds. That's, 60 degrees, so maybe about to here. It's pi thirds. I'll just go ahead and put my pi thirds over here. So there's an angle of pi thirds, and I get the following right triangle. Okay, now let's figure out what this point is. If I could figure out that point, then I will know the 6 corresponding trigonometric ratios. Well, let's go back and review a little bit. If I have an angle of pi thirds, the typical right triangle has a relationship of 1, 2, square root 3. And again, this is something we did earlier on in the course. So if this is a pi third angle, okay, and I want to fill in these 2 sides, well, I have to figure out what my constant is. Let's see, if this is 2 and this is 1, I can multiply everything by a half. Right? 2 times a half gives us that 1 there. 1 times a half gives us a half. And square root 3 times a half is square root of 3 over 2. So there are my corresponding sides to this right triangle. Okay? We just used the fact that we knew what the standard pi thirds right triangle looked like. So that means that this x-coordinate is a half, and this y-coordinate square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Now, let's figure out what the corresponding trigonometric ratios are. No problem. Sine of pi thirds, remember, is y. Cosine pi thirds, by our definition, was x. Tangent pi thirds was opposite, or y divided by x. Okay? And if we invert and multiply, we get square root of 3. Okay? Cosecant of pi thirds, that's going to be the reciprocal of sine, etc. Secant of pi thirds is 2 over 1, and cotangent of pi thirds is 1 over square root of 3. So notice how easy that was if we could find the corresponding point on the unit circle. Okay? Now this is what we're going to be doing for a while in some of these lectures. So make sure that you can find the points on the unit circle, okay? And make sure that you know the definition of the 6 trig ratios, okay? And we'll do some more problems, so stay tuned and make sure you have your homework handy and start doing your homework problems after you see each of these lectures.